Okay, well, good afternoon and welcome to eLearning Made Easy. This is the second workshop of a four-part series, and we're really excited. This is the first time DEF CON BRC has hosted this workshop, and I think, Cassie, this is the first time that you've taught this one, right? You created it.
Yes.
Yeah, it's awesome. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Cassie, and same as last week, you guys, if you could just stay on mute during the presentation, but feel free to chime in with questions. Is that right?
Yes.
As we're going along, and then I'm going to turn my camera off, but I'll still be here and I'll monitor the chat in the waiting room, and I'll see you guys soon. Thanks.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks, Amira. All right, thanks everybody for coming back. It's always good to see people the second day because I don't know who's a teacher here and who's not, or who's been, but the second day is usually where you see just like the 50% drop and you're like, oh, was it me? So I definitely appreciate seeing your faces again. Yeah, I remember I was teaching French 1020 at the University of Utah as part of my fellowship. And you know, that the 1010s and 1020s have like sometimes way too many students, like 80. And I remember the first day of 1020, I mean, my classroom was packed. I mean, packed. It was maybe like 50 or 60 people there. And by the second class, it was 28. I was like, what did I say? So, and, you know, 18 graduated. So, you know, it's just, I got used to not being hurt by it after years of doing it. But at the beginning, it does kind of sting. So I'm glad to see you. All right. I also want to thank you for those of you who reached out and actually told me about your projects. I am really excited and happy for you. I don't like to disclose, especially when we're recording, information about what your particulars are, the particular of your idea. But I really appreciate you sharing with me, and I am excited to see it come to life. So thank you. All right, so we left off on quite a bit. I feel like after we got off the call last week, I thought, man, I really loaded them up. And it's probably because, you know, like Amira said, this is the first time I've made this course. So we're definitely going and refining as we go. So if you have any questions, I'm going to ask you here in a minute to make sure to bring in for everybody, because as you know, usually when somebody has a question, there's many people who have the exact same question. So, but before I do that, I want to go really quickly over our syllabus, which indicates that today we have a jam-packed day. I mean, I was looking at this day today and I thought, well, I told Amira I wasn't going to hold back, so we're going to do this. So this day, we're going to be making the movie, Bringing the Writing to Life, which is the beginning of, wait, am I sharing my screen yet? Oh, here, let me share my screen. Okay, here we go. Now, am I sharing my screen? Yes, okay, thank you. So it is making a movie, bringing the movie to life, the writing to life, which we talked about content writing and a few elements last week of writing, like chunking and learning elements. Then the first thing we'll do is the beginning of learning to make simulations in Adobe Captivate. And we're going to talk about whether you have to program yet or not, but don't be afraid if you don't. Then we're going to begin to talk about micro learning and making movies with your camera, whatever camera you have. But again, I encourage a phone if that is what you brought. It's actually pretty perfect. Okay, and then the beginning of learning about movie editing programs and what they can do, because editing your video can be really important. You know, you want to cut out the what I just did, which was the and you kind of want to bring your true content, and that's it. But you also don't want to make it mechanical. So we'll chat about that as well. Okay, so that we're clear, that is what we're doing today in 2 hours. We'll see how we do it, but we're gonna try. It's a lot of stuff. You should see this room. I have like all the props, so we'll see what we can get to. Okay, so before we get into this, let's make sure that we review a little bit of last week. So the first thing I want to do is ask you, do you have any questions before we get going on this recap? Anyone? Did you have any problems creating your content, or did anybody dive into maybe like composing your idea? Yes, good, good. I like that. Okay, so if we have no questions, and Amira, you'll have to keep an eye on the chat because when I share my screen, it disappears, so I can't see it at all. So just let me know if you see anything. Okay, awesome. Thumbs up from Amira. I like the little emoji thumbs up. It reminds me of like a yellow gardening glove. So okay, so I asked quote unquote homework. Last week we said bring ready some steps that you want to create today. So it gets a little tricky because I know that we're recording, and so the last thing I want to do is surrender your intellectual property to on Zoom to whoever watches this. You know, I don't want to do that. If we were in a classroom, I would make sure that everybody agreed that what stays in that room remains in that room, and then we could share. But on Zoom and through recording, I would prefer that you don't give me your ideas. Although I'm dying to hear them. Oh my gosh, I am. I can't wait. I'm really excited for you and whatever it is that your idea is. But I do want to ask you if you did you create a system for steps? Like, who created maybe like 1 to 2 pages? Did you chunk? Did you have any problems with chunking, or did you have any problems with maybe putting learning elements into it? Or did you get to put any learning elements on it? Do you have any questions about how potentially you could do, maybe it's like you think it's too visual, maybe you want some ideas on how to make it also auditory. Does anybody have anything like that? The lights just went off and there's nothing I can do about it because they're motion censored. And unless I get up and leave the room every few minutes, you're just gonna see me. I'm kind of like,
Cassie.
Yes.
Cassie? So Bonnie has a great, thank you, Bonnie, suggestion. Since she works at the public library,
Yes.
her, it's not necessarily intellectual property that she'd be doing, because she'd be creating, I'm assuming, marketing materials for the library.
Yes.
Or not marketing, I'm sorry, education materials for the library for the online courses, which is going to be public anyway. So she's volunteered to help, you know, she can use hers if you want. Then you have something to go with.
Yes, Bonnie. Yeah, definitely. I mean,
And unmute and
yeah, if you don't actually have any kind of like qualms or you don't feel like it's going to be infringement of property, then I'd love to hear like a general idea. I still don't want like super specific information that could potentially become private for you guys, but I would love to hear it, and I would love to hear of any questions that come with.
Hey, it's actually for training staff. There's a service that we provide, and we have a team of about 30 that provide the service directly to the library users. And one of the steps in the process is to review the product before it's sent out to the patron. And not everybody in that group of 30 is reviewing the product correctly. So I wanted to create something that would help them to know what the steps are and to follow them successfully.
I love it. I love this. This is so good. I'm sure that some of you agree, especially if you're in creating of steps and stuff. This is like so good because sometimes you have a process and then you realize that maybe there's a break in communication is what we actually say it's called in languages. The break of communication comes somewhere in the middle. You did not expect it, but suddenly you find yourself having to make steps for it because you realize that the break in communication has happened to multiple people and you just want to make it easier. So I love this because it doesn't have to be at the beginning, and it doesn't even have to be something you thought about. It came simply from feedback. So I love this. And we spoke about feedback last time and how important it is. So tell me, Bonnie, what are the steps that you created for this? Or are you allowed to say at all, or maybe how can I help you? I really would love to help you with this.
Well, I can say anything about it because there's nothing confidential as long as the people who we create the product for, we don't talk about them, which we don't have to.
Okay.
So I think there's about 8 steps in the process.
Okay.
And I just want something, we've told them many times, we've trained them many times. So I just want something different that will capture their attention and show them visually how to be doing this part of the process, because they're not putting enough emphasis on the importance of it.
Perfect. So far then I have a question. How is the process so far? Is it written? Is it something they listen to, or how are they able to follow the steps right now?
There are procedures, and the steps are within the procedures, and there's another document that has the 8 steps listed in it, and it's just text.
Okay. Well, I know you want help with this, and I think that this class is actually going to help you with that specifically. But before, especially because it's all about the movie and bringing the writing to life. But before we do that, I want to ask if anyone has suggestions for Bonnie before we get going.
I think, Cassie, I may have shared this idea with you. There's a method of communication that was created by an educator, I don't know how long ago, but it's called the format method. Have you guys ever heard of that before?
Number 4 and then math?
Yeah.
Okay.
And this educator has found that in her classes or in her group, there are 4 kind of groups of people that, and they ask these questions in this specific order of why, what, how, and what if. So usually there's a group that always wants to know why. There's a group that always wants to know what's the details, what is it, how does it work, what are the steps, and what if could be like, what if it doesn't work? What if it's like this? Or what if this happened, right? So people who kind of think outside of just what it is. And why is like, why is it important? Why should I be learning this, right? And so I haven't done the research to understand why you have to ask them in this specific, or why you have to give information in that specific order. Something about the way that your brain works. But I actually created a pretty massive online course, and that's how I structured my lessons, is by starting with why, and then going to what, how, and sorry about my dog, and then what if. And I think for this specific, what you're trying to do, something you mentioned was that they don't understand the importance of it. So I think starting with why would be really important.
Yeah, thank you. I've heard of that before, Liz, but I've totally forgotten about it, and that makes sense.
Awesome.
Yeah. That's a good tip.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Alina. Yes, definitely. Sometimes, and in fact, this is an official, something that I call the funnel, and nobody told me necessarily to call it the funnel. I've just heard it through instructional designers talking. But a funnel basically is, you can visualize a funnel, right? It has like a kind of like a triangle, and then it goes down like this, right? It's like, is that what I'm, right? The visual? Okay, I'm like, is that the right visual? It's like, and then you kind of pour liquid at the top, type of thing. But basically, the funnel indicates that you kind of explain to people at the beginning what they're doing and why. And then, because that way, if you just start with steps, they're just going to mechanically do it because they were told to, or because they're getting paid. But they're not actually going to feel that sense of responsibility. So sometimes it's good to give them like a few sentences at the beginning, kind of explaining why this procedure is about to happen, and then go with the steps. So it's basically just like a top down, rather than telling people this is what you have to do, and at the end kind of explaining the reasoning. You basically at the beginning just tell them, so they feel that sense of responsibility before they begin the steps. So that could be one thing. But Bonnie, I love this because I think that simulations are going to be something that's going to be really important for you. Now, we don't have on this curriculum to do something called, well, let's put it simple, screenshots. Basically working with screenshots, where you say step 1, and then you screenshot the little step, and then you put it next to the step so that it creates a visual. We don't have that here, but it could be another way of doing it. I'm sure you've seen like some training manuals where you can screenshot that part of your computer that you're talking about and then put that picture next to the step so that people actually have the writing and the visual of it, you know? That's something that didn't think about in the writing piece of this class, but I would love to incorporate for next time, but that would be part of helping them gain a visual of what they're doing rather than just text, okay? But when we open up Captivate, I think that if you're able to show them with this, the visual learners are gonna have like a big positive reaction to it, okay, I love this. So I'm gonna ask one more time for any other questions, and then we're going to talk about Captivate. So any other questions from last time? And Bonnie, thank you for your question. We'll definitely, hopefully get it answered by the end of this module today. So questions on last week, chunking, writing, content, learning elements, learning styles? No? Okay, so let's dive in. The first thing I wanna pull up is, I have things ready because I didn't wanna take time away from today because it's so jam-packed. So I have this ready, and this is what Adobe Captivate, the application itself, looks like. When you download on your computer, it looks something like this. I have a Macintosh, so mine looks like this. I know that on a PC, it looks slightly different, but not too different. It's just about the same, okay? So this is the application that we're working with. When I click on it, then it opens up to this page. So does everybody have Captivate or not? Everybody? Okay, if you don't, no problem. I can't see everybody's faces. I just saw a couple of yeses. That's all my screen allows me to see with sharing the screen. But if you don't, it's no problem. Just make sure, thank you. Just make sure to tell me or chat, put in the chat for Mira to ask me to please slow down, because that way I can just do it a little bit slower so that everybody can capture and see. I also have the tendency, yes, I've definitely been a teacher and I have the tendency of going slower for students, but I also have the tendency of being versed in programs, and so I can go fast. So by all means, let me know the speed and cadence of this so that we can go at a good pace for everybody, okay? Right, here we go, Adobe Captivate. I love this program, and I love this program for 6 reasons. And the 6 reasons are right here, okay? Adobe Captivate is a program that's been around for a while, actually, as far as e-learning. As you know, e-learning, like I said last class, didn't start becoming big until 2 years ago, and then recently it's been like super powerful. But it was 2 years ago when people really started looking into it for across different industries, not just for corporate America. So Captivate's been around for a little while, but it had a big update in 2019. And the biggest thing that happened in 2019 for Captivate is that virtual reality came in. Now, we'll talk about virtual reality. Hopefully we have time at the end of today, but the 6 reasons I love it are the 6 applications that Captivate allows you to work with. First is the responsive project. I'm just going to give you a little bit of each of these because I'm sure that you read upon them. So I don't want to bore anybody to death. I want to get to work. So the responsive project basically allows you to create a project so that your audience can see it in all output. So meaning a laptop, a desktop, a tablet, and a phone. And right now, people are actually asking more and more for phone learning because that's what people have readily available at all times. So it's really important to realize that the responsive project is going to be, I think, one of the key applications on this program that we're going to be using as instructional designers more and more, because that way people don't have to sit at a computer or at a desktop or bring their tablet. They can just pull out their phone and they'll be able to learn in the same way. So the reason why the responsive project is important is because if you don't create on this tablet, somebody walked by, now I have more light. But so if you don't actually create on this app, and this is like painfully by experience, okay? If you don't create on this app and then you try to watch it on a phone, it does not measure to size. So then people are trying to watch this module that you created, and they can only see a quarter of it because it's not adjusting to the size. So when you create a project with this app responsive project, it gives you the chance to actually create the project and visualize it as you're creating it, to see what it's going to look like on a tablet, on a phone, so that you're not blindly creating something and then nobody can see it at the end if they want to pull it up on their phone, okay? So then the next thing really quickly then is virtual reality. I won't talk too much about that, although I want to, because this is the thing that your teacher is currently geeking out on, virtual reality. This is the thing that I'm actually learning about the absolute most right now for my industry. But I think that for the purposes of this class, we're going to concentrate on not virtual reality, because I think it's a little bit more of an advanced app, okay? So then there's also Blank Project. Blank Project is really cool. And in fact, that is where you would create a project if you were 100% certain that you did not need it on a tablet and did not need it on a phone. You just wanted it on one screen. If you just wanted people to watch it on a size for laptop or even desktop, this is what you would do. There's no reason, if you are absolutely certain that nobody's gonna pull it on their phone, there's no reason to use the responsive project. You would just start from a blank project, okay? And a lot of my last big contract just wanted blank projects, because this was like for the city, so they didn't need anybody to watch it. In fact, the IT would have been like, absolutely not, nobody can watch it on their phone. They just wanted people to watch it inside of the city building on their desktop computer that they worked at. So there was no reason to create it responsively, okay? The next one is the one that we're going to be doing today. I'm sorry if I'm speaking a little fast here, because I want to get to it, but again, tell me if I need to slow down, please. So the next one is software simulations. Simulations are probably, this was my starting point for Captivate. This is the thing that I thought was the greatest thing on planet Earth for e-learning, because it allows you to simulate what you're doing. And just for fun, because as you know, I'm a literature major, I pulled up the definition of simulation for us. And it says, the imitation of a situation or process, the action of pretending, let's forget about deception, that's not what we're doing, but also the production of a computer model of something, especially for the purpose of studying, okay? So I love what a simulation is, because it allows you to imitate something that you're already doing. So that is why we're going to use that today. I'm going to show you an example, and hopefully by the latter half of this hour and a half, we get to work on it, okay? Then the next app is the video demo. This is the one that I, as your teacher, is the one that I have used the least. But I'm still going to show you how it works from one of my mentors, okay? He's actually all over YouTube and we communicate via email, but this is the thing that he uses the absolute most. So at least the good thing about being human is, and hopefully a humble human, is that you realize that you don't have to know everything. There are other people who know more. And so anytime, I know that if I needed to use video demos on Captivate, I could tap into him and he would help me, because he uses it every day, okay? And then the last thing is from PowerPoint. This is a thing that I've never used for a professional project, just for fun, just to try it out. But in essence is, when we open up Captivate, you'll see the similarities to PowerPoint or Presenter, okay? And so back in the day, before Captivate and programs like Captivate were bigger, we used PowerPoint a lot more. And because they have the same size, well, a similar size and a similar structure, what you can do a lot of the times is if you want to make your project into an e-learning project, but you years ago created it on PowerPoint, you can actually transfer it. You can import it here and make it into e-learning, okay? So those are the 6 elements. Today and next week, we'll be only concentrating on 2, the software simulation and the responsive project. Because, you know, there's not enough time for us, but as always, you know, at any time you can always email me like some of you already have. So, okay. So, any questions before we get into the software simulations? No? Okay. Simulations. I'm going to show you one. If you've come to my website, my apologies if you've seen this before. Let's bring down Zoom. Here we go. So I'm going to show you the simulation, and notice that is no more than, I want to say 60 seconds, okay? Because first of all, I created these for my portfolio, so they didn't need to be long, but it is also an example of, this is not per se micro-learning, but chunking a visual element, okay? So we'll go here, sample training simulation, and this is one that I use to show people how to use a program that I use called InDesign. InDesign is basically a really beefed up version of Word that a lot of instructional designers use for layout. We're not gonna be talking about InDesign anywhere in this class, but one of the bigger questions that I have in InDesign is how do you even create on InDesign? So that's why I made the simulation. So let's watch it. Like I said, it's about a minute long, but it will give you an idea of what you can do with simulations, okay?
Creating a new project in InDesign is easy. All you have to do is click on Create New, which gives you the new document screen, and we're going to select the default. Choosing the default will give you the familiar canvas of 8.5 by 11 inches. Next, we'll pick Portrait as the orientation, since we're not creating a booklet, just a single page. And we're also going to check off facing pages, since this is also mostly used for book layouts or booklets. And once you're done setting up your page, you can now hit Create. And now you have a blank canvas and a beautiful page in which you can start creating your project.
Okay, so who can tell me why a software simulation would be super valuable to a visual learner?
When you're showing them exactly what they need to, if they were going to be doing it, how it would look, right?
Exactly, exactly. You're replicating, these steps, like we talked about before, these steps are somewhere on paper already. They've been written, okay? But now what you're doing is you're saying the steps, but I also have a human element to it, right? The auditory learner is going to hear not a robot, but a human that says creating a project in InDesign, it's easy. You know, it's actually like calming the auditory learner down, because we're going to do something very simple, and immediately your brain is like, okay, this is gonna be easy. Then visually, like Alina said, you're literally going through the 10 steps of how to open up InDesign and get to your blank page, but visually. The greatest thing about a simulation is that you can pause it. If the learner wants to do it along with you, they can just pause it. And instead of having to read the page, they can just follow the video. Same with the auditory learner. So a simulation basically creates a replica of your screen. A simulation is not the same thing as a module or a video, okay? Even though the simulations do export as .mp4s, which are in essence videos, what we mean is that the star of a simulation is always what you're doing, not the human, okay? You're replicating per se your screen. So in your situation, Bonnie, right? Or Liz? Bonnie. Okay, so in your situation, Bonnie, it could be that you grab Captivate and you actually replicate the steps for the person. And if it's something like I could have gone into creating a whole project, and some people do on YouTube, and it takes like 20 minutes. I just wanted to, again, chunking chunking as far as an instructional design is really important for me because I just show you how to do step one. Once you're familiar, then we can start creating an actual canvas for in InDesign, for example. So for the purposes of this, you can maybe just do like a minute with those steps. And then the cool part about simulations in Captivate is that they do export as .mp4s, which is a movie. It's a simple movie. So MP4s play on almost every movie player out there because they're actually the standard format. So then you can actually inside, if you create the link and then you link it to the PDF, for example, body that you have the steps on, you can say for visual steps, click here, and then you put the link to the movie opens, and then they can watch it. And then that you scored not only your reading element, but your visual and your auditory all in one page. How does that feel so far, guys? Good? Okay.
That's quite interesting, Cassie, how you mentioned the tone, or that it's not a computer talking and that it's a human talking, and also the tone of voice that's used. I haven't considered that before, of like how it can affect someone's learning.
I love it. And I love this. This conversation is so important because I remember, and I doubt that has changed, but if it's changed, well, I'm still going to act like it hasn't changed. But I remember one of my professors teaching us, and I'm not going to tell you who said it because I can't remember, but this is a very specific person who created this, okay? So it's not just coming from like academia. This is like really researched. So you'll have to look up who said it first. But, 60% of learning or communication, 60% of communication, there's 60%, 30%, and 10%. 60% is your body language. When you have no video, then you're left with 40%. So you want to capitalize on that 40%. Guess what the 30% is? The 30% of effective communication is tonality. How you say it. And only 10% are the words you're saying. So it's huge, right? How you're saying something to someone, it's huge. Because if you don't have the 60% of body language that tells a person that you're not yelling at them, then you're going to have to make it nice with the tone of your voice. Yeah? Really important and really good point, Alina. All right. This is getting so good. Okay. So you can see that in the virtual world today, simulations are huge because you can split up something that you can't be there personally, like we can't be in front of each other right now. But if I needed to send you an explanation on how to open up Adobe Captivate, I could have created that simulation with this. No problem. You see? And so there's also, of course, the training element that we already talked about, where maybe it's like the first or second day of training for someone, you're not able to be there the first couple of days, but you give them a simulation so they can try it on their own by watching it and pausing it, So by the time you do get there on the third day, they already have gotten their hands dirty, quote unquote, and have different questions for you other than how do I do it? How do I open it? Now they actually have experiential questions. When I do this, this happens. Do you see that? There's a big difference because now the brain is not starting. The brain has had now its point of departure and it's in it. It's in it with a different train of thought rather than help me from the beginning. Yeah. Simulations are super important for learning and for the brain. Okay, do we have questions on this? Because now we're gonna do it, guys. Okay, so I'm going to open up here a simulation. I definitely want you to try this with me when it's time, but first I'm gonna go in it just so that I can just touch on some points with you, okay? So you click on it, you notice that there is a blue, what's called a stroke or a frame around it. And then you just create. Okay, really important thing that's happening right now. So notice that the application went away. It goes away because it's assuming that you are ready to record on whatever it is that you have in front of you. So if you're not ready, you're like, oh shoot, I'm not ready. You gotta hit cancel. And then Captivate goes back here to give you the chance. Let's say that I wasn't ready because let's see, I didn't want this. What I'm trying to create a simulation about is, let's say this. So then now you have to have ready what you want your screen to look like, okay? Okay, so then I go back to Captivate. Now I'm ready, Captivate. So then I can go software simulation, create. Okay, so now I'm ready, you see? Now our syllabus is behind, which is exactly what I intended to record. So then you tell it, do you want full screen or custom size? Full screen means that it's going to record everything, including the zoom that I'm seeing right now, okay? Maybe you don't want all of that. Maybe you want custom size. When you click on custom size, you're gonna get this red frame. The red frame indicates that anything inside of this red frame, it's going to be part of your movie. It's going to be part of your simulation, okay? So if you don't want it that big, you gotta just make it small. Here's usually this little red, there we go. You can just grab it until you kind of get it just so to where you want to record, okay? So then recording type, automatic, no panning, no narration, no webcam. Okay, so I don't recommend the webcam only because you can do that in the other application, which is called the video simulation, okay? You're not gonna need that here necessarily. Honestly, I wouldn't. No narration. The reason why we're going to turn off the narration, guys, is because you can, with this program, you can be narrating as you're recording. It's no problem. But you'll see that sometimes if you messed up and you'll have to delete some slides and your narration then may not match, it's better just to record the screen and then record your narration and then import it. I know it sounds complicated, but it's not. I will show you, okay? So we're not going to have narration, no panning, there's no need to move the screen. I'm gonna have it right there. And basically that's what automatic means. You're not gonna do any changes to what Captivate has already set up for you. Okay, panning, no audio, and we're going to hit record. When you hit record, you'll see that it goes 3, 2, 1. Okay, at every time, listen carefully. Every time I hit a click, notice that I'm scrolling now, and I'm gonna just click it. Every time you are pointing something out, let's say that I'm saying, guys, this week we're going to go to optional prerequisites. It's gonna highlight that. It's recording it like that. And then we're going to take a look at how does, every time you intentionally or unintentionally click something, it's going to make that noise for you, okay? That means that it's capturing that specific movement that you've just done. So then you're done. Let's say you're done. I'm good. Thank you so much, Captivate. I'm gonna click this little green Captivate icon here, and it's gonna wrap up the recording. Notice that the red frame went away, and now it's telling me I'm creating slides. Okay, and now it's gonna look a little messy, but it's actually really fun, at least for me, to put together. The first thing I do is I double click on this timeline icon down here. Well, it's like a timeline, just word. You double click on it. Some of you might be familiar with this from other applications, because usually a timeline is a timeline. It usually looks a certain way. So here we go. So it tells you, here's your mouse, click, highlight box, slide. Okay, we'll talk about that. But first I want to show you every time we did anything, every time I clicked, it recorded it. And when you see this little camera, that means that you scrolled and Captivate captured it as a small movie. So if I click play on it, it's showing like that because I just scroll down. You see, it wasn't a static, I wasn't a static shot like that. I scroll down, so it's capturing it as a scroll as well. So then we clicked some more, and then we went to a few places. Do you notice how when I said it's, when you highlight it, it's gonna show it that same way? Same. It's showing you everything that you did. It's replicating it exactly. Okay. Okay. So then you as the instructional designer have to, what you do now is that the system did what you wanted it to do. It captured exactly what you told it to. When you closed it, it presented you with, for us right now, 15 slides. Notice it was only a few seconds, but it creates the slides that you tell it to. You click on that, it created it. You scrolled, it created it. Now your job as a designer is to determine what is it that you want it to show. Like for example, when I created this module right here, and I
Creating a new project in InDesign is easy. All you have to do is click on Create.
So it looks like a solid movie, but really, believe it or not, all there was a bunch of slides to begin with. It never was anything but these slides. Then my job is to say, the sequence of this was, okay, sure, I wanted the mouse there. This one's not necessary. We can delete it. Delete, and it deletes it. Are you sure? Yeah, let's delete it. Is this one necessary? Sure. Is the scroll necessary? Definitely. I want to show that the people scroll down. And then you say, you kind of follow what it is that you need. And you say, maybe I don't need this one, but I do want that highlighted. And then you have to really think about, after you delete the slides that you need, and they're in the sequence that you want, then you have to practice. At this point is when you practice the audio. Because you notice that the reason why we don't want to record at the beginning when Captivate gives us the choice of record audio, record slides at the same time, the reason why you don't want to do that is because you notice that I've deleted already 2 slides, which means that I would have deleted that audio as well. You see? So it's much better to just create your raw material, and after you'll put in the audio. Okay? So it's kind of a lot, I know, but do you have questions so far?
Cassie, do you then like talk? I mean, I don't know. I used to I recorded my voice on the e-learning program I built. So, but I remember talking to myself, like not in the voice that I would use to record, but I would like pretend like I'm going through it. Is that how you time it, or?
That's such a good point. Such a great point. Let's say that we decided, yeah, we're gonna go with all of these 14 slides. And then basically what I would do is get like a little text edit document and say, all right, slide 1. You notice slide 1 looks like it's 2 seconds long. So that's how much you have to talk, but not really. Honestly, if you just like drag, you can give yourself more seconds. You can give yourself as much time as you'd like to say something until you're done with your thought. Okay, so let's say that we want to actually say 5 seconds worth of stuff on this one. And then you grab your text edit document and say, today we'll talk about the syllabus. And then you start thinking, today we'll talk about the syllabus. You're like, all right, that's 5 seconds. You move on, and you're going to calculate this, and you may or may not, you may be like super close, but there's actually a way to cut your audio as well. So don't worry, okay? So then slide 2, and then you begin to create a script for the slides that you've created, because that way you can go with what you are sure that you want, rather than keep cutting the audio on the slides if you create them with audio video. Okay, so slide 2, this is a scroll. So you can safely say something like, as you scroll down, as you scroll, you'll notice And then you kind of calculate, you're like, all right, 5 seconds. So you begin to calculate your script, your audio script, according to the slides that you have determined are the ones you're going to show in your video. Does that make sense so far? Yeah?
So you record your voice for every single slide?
Definitely.
And do you do it within this program?
Okay, that's a very good question. I personally, here's the thing. Yes. What we do, let's do it. Why not? Okay. There's the little record mic right here that gives you, it's kind of like a little studio. Okay. I know if you've never seen anything like this, I may possibly be blowing your mind, so it's okay if you want me to slow down, okay? I am super familiar with this, so it's like I try to get back to my beginner's mind, but sometimes, you know, it doesn't work. So it allows you. It says record. Then it says device, built-in microphone. I'm going to be using just this. Usually, because you don't notice that so much is going on in life, but a lot of stuff is going on in life, even if you're in a silence, even if no one's at your house. Suddenly you'll be recording something and you say, no one's home. And then like the water is dripping in the back, you know, or like you didn't realize that you can hear your dog scratching. It's like so many things make sound that we don't realize, and it will be captured as soon as you hit record. So what I try to do is I try to get into a more quiet room, and then I actually put a headset in, an actual wired one, because the Bluetooth ones are good, are really good, but some of them don't have that noise canceling capacity quite yet. So I use a wired one because it actually helps with it canceling a little bit of the background noise, okay? There are a lot of programs out there that are super fancy and allow you to make the audio like perfect. But this isn't bad at all, okay? So I'm going to just pull up my little script. Oh no, this is not the script. Pull up our little script that we set, and I'm going to record for slide 1. Make sure that you are on the slide. You notice that there's the blue stroke. And then I'm gonna say, today we'll talk about the syllabus, and see if I can hit it in the 6 seconds that I've given myself. Okay, it's probably gonna be shorter, so we'll see what happens there. Okay, wish me luck. Here we go. Okay, so it's gonna ask you, do you wish to calibrate the audio input? I always do it. You notice I've been using this for a while, and still I've never clicked don't ask me again. I do. I want to every time, just in case anything happened with my computer that I'm not aware about. Okay, so yes. And then, okay. Oh, whoop, I didn't calibrate. Okay, we're gonna go like this. Notice that it's recording already, and I'm gonna go past the 6 second mark on purpose. Notice that it's green and yellow. That's where you wanna stay. When it turns red, it means that you're probably going to experience a little bit of a distortion, okay? So try to stay green and pleasantly yellow if you can. All right, so now I'm gonna say, today we'll talk about the syllabus. Stop. Okay, so we did it, except that we did it in like, I think it's something 33 seconds. That's a lot. That's okay. This is a really good learning opportunity. So the first thing I want to do is save it. And it said, it asks you, anytime that your slide or anything, if your audio is longer than your slide, it's going to ask you, hey, do you want to extend the slide to match the audio? Just say yes, because we're going to cut it. Okay. Okay. So then close it. My favorite file out there is called a WAV file. And it's this. Recording WAV. A WAV file it's just an audio file. But whoever named that WAV, I just love them because it reminds me of the sea. So when you look at this file, it is like, it has a bunch of stuff in it. And it's long. It's like, it really literally is like 33.1 seconds long. Too long, because you and I know that our original slide is 6 seconds, and that's what we wanted to aim for. Yes? Yes. So now we're going to double click this WAV file and say, that was too long. So what you can do is, first let's listen here. You click on it, by the way. The red line indicates that that's where you are. And you click. Okay, we're gonna go like this. Notice that it's recording already. And I'm gonna go past the 6 second mark on purpose. Notice that it's green and yellow. That's where you wanna stay. When it turns red, it means, okay. So it means that you're, for the purposes of this right here, you and I know we're not gonna use this, right? So I'm gonna grab it, drag it all the way to the beginning, and cut it. Boop. Don't need it. Now we're at 19 seconds. We're still kind of far from the 6 second mark, so we'll keep going. We'll keep editing. We're probably going to experience a little bit of a distortion, okay? So try to stay green and pleasantly yellow if you can. Okay, so then I'm going to move over here and then just, again, drag. If you have a mouse, awesome. I'm doing it just with my trackpad on my laptop, and just cut. Now we are closer to business because we are at 8 seconds. Notice this, if you've never seen a WAV file before, I really mean it when audio tells you everything. This is probably not anything but a breath. Then there's like this funky thing right here that you're like, what is that? It's probably like something like So you really have to pay attention to your audio, okay, to clean it up. So we'll see what we have here. All right, so now I'm gonna say, you notice that? Let's hear that again. Where is it? Come back. Okay. It was just like my lips smacking together. So you wanna get rid of all of that. All of that, you don't need it. Okay, now what I do like to do is leave enough white space here. It's called silence. Pretty logical, but it's called silence, so that it can be a little bit of a starting point rather than starting right away with a word. Okay, and it's perfect because you notice that there's no distortion or disruption like this on it. It's just a flat line, which means that it's just pure silence. You can also be really fancy, and if you think that you need more silence per se in between here and here, you can also right click and add a second of silence. The program allows you to do that as well. Okay, so let's see what it sounds like. Today we'll talk about the syllabus. Okay, so it looks like I'm at like 3 seconds. So that's great. That means that you saw how we made the slide longer. We can make it shorter. It's no problem. I'm gonna leave it a little bit more blank space because I like to. Again, I'm just like clicking on this so that the red line moves with me, okay? Nothing crazy. So then I'm going to cut this that I don't need because it's all just negative space and see what it sounds like now. Today, we'll talk about the syllabus. Today, we'll talk about the syllabus. That's good, right? That's just all the slide needed to say. You can, if you want to, if you think that that's too long of a space, you can just cut it, okay? If you need your slide to be shorter, as long as it's natural. What I don't like is for things to sound unnatural. Like if I were to do this, for example. Today, we'll talk about the syllabus. Actually, it sounded pretty natural, okay? So it's not bad. You know, what I'm saying though, is like, don't cut it too much to where words are running in together, and then because then that makes you sound like you're artificial intelligence instead of a human. You know what I'm talking about, right? Okay, so you still wanna, if you're meant to do this as a human, do it as a human. Because now we're beginning to get, there's definitely audio, and Captivate does have it as artificial intelligence. You can, if you don't want to speak your own voice, then you can actually set it up as artificial intelligence talking for you, okay? Now, totally up to you. I think that if you know you're talking to a human, talk to a human, you know? Artificial intelligence is coming in and will come in, and there are uses for it, but I don't think it's necessary here. Okay. So then we're going to save it, close, and see what happens. Now my slide is way too long. So instead of like trying to go track it, I'm gonna double click on this, open it, and tell it, hey, timing. My slide is now, what was it, 4 seconds. And then, well, it was less. So now you can, from here, you can just drag it. You see? I don't see you guys at all, but I hope you can see me. I feel like I'm talking to myself only because I don't see you, but hopefully you see me. Okay, so then you realize I'm like, oh, okay, well, my mouse is 3 seconds, my audio is this, and you can move it. You can say, I kind of wanted to start here. That's fine. It doesn't have to end flush. Okay, so then I'm going to save it because saving is always good. Save. And once it's, what? I didn't save it already. All right. Once it's done saving, I'm going to preview it and see what it looks like. I'm going to go preview, play slide.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
Okay. That's what it looks like. Now, then you begin to, this is my favorite part. I mean, honestly, when you begin to just play with it, because you're saying, today we'll talk about the syllabus. People are hearing that, and your mouse is going crazy somewhere else. It's like, what is my mouse doing? So you don't want that, okay? So you can actually notice that there's a place for the mouse. You can either move it, you know, or be like, well, you're saying today we'll talk about syllabus. Why is the mouse even there? You don't need it. And so you can, well, I guess, let's see if I can just hit delete from here. There we go. Are you sure you want to delete the selected items? Yeah, we don't need the mouse right now, okay? So then let's preview the slide now.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
Okay, awesome, but there's this weird thing here giving me an alert still, and I don't need it. So you kind of look for it. It's like, what is this? 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 Nothing. It says, click the alert document being processed. So Captivate is really smart. So what it tries to do, or they made it really smart, what it tries to do is suggest that there's something that you need to be telling the group. And if it doesn't fit, and you can double click it and change it, but if you don't need it, I often don't use these. I create my own, okay? So you can just delete it. Be like, don't need it. Okay, let's see how that begins to look. I'm actually going to try and close this right here. Okay, so that we can see it full screen. I see you guys again. Yay. Okay, there you are. Whew. Okay, so then now we're going to, let's preview the slide and see what it's.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
Awesome. Okay, so far it's beginning to look good, but let's get fancy. I'm gonna save it and say that, let's say this is syllabus right here. Let's say that instruction, okay. Or it doesn't say syllabus, but it's the title of what we're doing. So we go to properties, we go to actions, or no, let's not go there. Let's go to, there we go, objects, highlight box. If you click highlight box, you notice that this appeared. Okay, it's a highlight box. It allows you to highlight something. So I'm going to put it right around our syllabus title. Okay, and this is definitely an advanced action, guys. But I think that this is the advanced action that is the easiest on Captivate, because all you're going to do is highlight something. Notice that immediately after I created a highlight box, it actually created a line that says highlight box. There's another one though. You notice there's two. Well, that's the one I created. Here's another one. I don't need it. I actually could have used this one, but since I just created a second one, I don't need it, so I'm just gonna delete it. So far we have this highlight box, the slide itself, and the audio. Okay, so let's see what happens when I play right now.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
Nothing happened because there are things that you need to do to the highlight box if you want it to work as a highlight box, okay? So now I'm going to go to properties, and because I have the highlight box highlighted, it's gonna give me options. I'm gonna say, this is typical, okay? So these are steps that you can write down just as is, because this is typical, this is used typically to, this is how we typically highlight a highlight box. We fill the outer area, we fill probably with one of these, color 7, and the opacity at 70, okay? So now it's telling me, all right, you've made some changes. Let's see what it looks like. Here's another thing I wanna do. I wanted to hit right on the word syllabus. So I'm gonna try to make it so that it highlights right when I say syllabus. So let's say, today we'll talk about the syllabus. Let's say that it's right there. And let's play it and see what it looks like.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
Okay, you get, it's probably not exactly at the word syllabus, but it's close.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
Okay, so that's basically that part of the action. I wanted to show you that in essence, if you want to, you can highlight parts of what you're talking about as you're talking. Now, highlighting something that you are showing is really important as far as learning elements. And I just want you to think about, why is it that this learning element would come into play when you're already talking and you're showing a visual to someone? Why do you think that a highlight box could be beneficial for the person learning?
Because it's more reinforcement for them to see exactly what you're talking about.
Exactly. The more you can take your reader to where you are, the better. So that way they don't have to like search, because if you're talking about the syllabus and you're showing this whole page, that's good, but you almost just want to focus for them where it is that they're supposed to be looking. Okay, so that's one of the things that Captivate does, and I think really well. It's like I said, it's an advanced action, but it's something really easy, relatively easy to do for your learner to take their eyes where you want them to be. Okay, what are your questions on this so far as a simulation?
Cassie, every time you made that change, were you going to properties to get to those things?
Yeah, I was wondering if you guys could see the whole thing. Let's see. I was going to, when you highlight something,
yeah,
like I don't have the highlight box highlighted now, so nothing happens. But if you highlight it, then immediately takes you to properties.
okay.
And it gives you the options for that specific box. Okay. Anything else here? So Bonnie, do you think that this might be something that you could create those, make a movie of those 8 steps visually for them?
Yes.
Good.
Definitely, yeah.
Good. Glenn, what are you thinking? I see you so thoughtful there.
I was actually trying to figure out the highlight box. It looks like it changed the whole page, not just the box itself. So were you highlighting the whole page? I was just trying to figure out where the selection box is covered by our photos, or our videos. But on the right side, did you highlight the whole page or just the box? Because it looked like on my end that the whole page was turning gray.
Like when I push play, the whole page is turning gray, you mean?
Yes, the whole slide turned gray, not the box.
Got it. Okay, so I'm gonna play it.
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
You see, right? You're saying that.
So the whole page turned gray and then the box stayed white.
Exactly.
All right.
Exactly. And the reason why you do that is the reason why it does that is because I indicated this I checked this that says fill outer area with this gray color. I could make it darker too, just kind of like just to make it even more of an emphasis?
Today, we'll talk about the syllabus.
See any?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So no, that's great. That's a really good question. Because I mean, it is definitely meant to highlight. So maybe the darker you can make the outer page. I don't like to make it fully black because then you don't actually even know what you're looking at anymore, you know? So, okay. That's a really good question. Okay. How are we feeling so far? Good? Okay, good. Because there's like half an hour left before your questions and I have like 3 hours worth of content still for today. So I'm getting a little scared. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I do, like I said, like it says on the syllabus itself, right? I mean, where's the movie part? Right here. Okay, where it says on the syllabus, the beginning of learning to make simulations. That's actually where I'm gonna leave it for now so that I can move to micro-learning. But this gives you a really good gist of the fact that, first of all, you can create visual steps. A simulation means that you're copying something for someone else, usually the screen, not the human. And Captivate allows you to also make the audio separately so that you can feel solid on your steps before you begin the audio of the steps, okay? All right, I'm going to, unfortunately, this is my favorite program and I always, every time I close it, I feel sad. So I'm going to, however, put it to the side so that we can move on and I can show you other things. But do you have any last questions on this part? No?
So simulation is always making, or more than usually, it's about making a recording of your screen and being able to kind of manipulate it in a way where you can put voiceover behind it and also highlight certain things on what you're recording. And the advantage of doing it through here, rather than like a video editing program, is, I mean, it seems to be like in a slide manner, which I don't normally see.
Mm-hmm.
I normally just see like one video and you have to edit snippets of it.
Exactly. This is exactly the difference with Captivate, right? Captivate is meant to capture frames already, rather than you cutting the frames. You see? So that way it gives it to you in frames that you can delete, rather than having to sit there and edit an actual video.
It's painful.
Which can be painful.
Yeah.
It can also be really fun.
This is really cool. I wish I knew about this like a year ago.
But you know it now. Okay, so that is the what I want to show you on Captivate. I do want to show you, man, 20 minutes. All right. I'm gonna do this. We're gonna do this, guys. Okay, so here's what I want to show you really quickly. Another function that Captivate can do, and it's really, in my opinion, really important. I'm gonna close this so that I can reopen the program from scratch, because I talked about this and it is on my syllabus here to show you this, and I really want to. So this is one of those things that I told Amira, I really want to do this for BRC because BRC has done so much for me, to be honest. But it's tricky because I realized that 4 classes for this was maybe a little too short, because we could spend like a whole semester on just this, you know, but I do want to show you something else. So Captivate itself, like I said, the application, I've closed it all the way, so we're going to have it reopen. It has the 6 functions of it. The other function that I want to show you, we're not going to be able to get fully into it, but I at least want to show you what it looks like for what it does, okay? So Captivate includes video as well. So if we go to new, if you go to recent, by the way, it'll open the latest project you've just had, okay? So resources is cool too, because Adobe usually uploads things there. But if you go to new, it'll give you the original canvas. So video demo is really, it's an impressive app as well. I'm gonna really quickly show you what it does. Again, we're not gonna be able to get into it, but I wanna make you aware of something else that Captivate does, okay? Which is the video demo. This gentleman right here is one of my mentors. I've never met him. He lives in Canada, but we exchange emails here and there when I really have questions. I sought him out a couple of years ago when when I was learning Captivate, because he is the Captivate teacher. In fact, he is endorsed by Adobe because he is very good. And I myself am getting certified as an Adobe specialist, which he already is and has been for years. And he would have been the teacher in Las Vegas in October. Of course, that conference is canceled. We'll have to do it virtually, but I would have loved to meet him, you know. But he's one of the people who Adobe endorses as a company itself, okay? So Paul, that's his name, and his website is captivateteacher.com. So the reason why I bring this up is that I'm going to show you like a 30-second snippet. He uses this function right here that I'm about to talk about, this video demo function. He uses it for his videos. So anytime you need a human in it with the screen, this actually combines both simulation and human, okay? So let me show you kind of what he does.
Today is interactive video. So let me show you what I've learned so far. So there's an interactive video icon right on the toolbar, and I've already set up my project to include some knowledge check slides and what are called overlay slides. And then I have a blank slide at the beginning of my project where my video is going to reside. So let's insert some interactive video.
Okay, so what I wanted to show you on this is the fact that if you see, he is using this right here, the video demo, okay? Because the video demo allows you to be in the video while you're showing your screen. Really important, because there's also the videos of where you just like have a teacher talking to you, kind of like I'm doing right now, like through Zoom. It's just me talking to you, and that's all you can see. But you can also be explaining something at the same time. And that's why this video demo was created, okay? Additionally, I mean, it does so many other things. If at any point on YouTube, or, well, YouTube is all I watch, but if at any point on YouTube you've seen a video that has multiple videos in it that have been cut, they probably used something like this to cut the video, okay? You have to be really careful with that when you extract a video from another site, because there are copyright laws, okay? So that's why he himself makes his own videos. It's just him and his screen, you know? But there are people who will go through the right channels and ask permission. Hey, can I cut this video from, you know, Transformers 2 to put in my video? Some people don't ask permission, but some people do, you know? And you're able to literally cut a portion of that movie with this program to insert in your whatever it is that you want to show, okay? So that's all I really want to show you about this. Again, I feel like each one of these apps are like semester-long explanations, but I did want to make you aware that this does exist, and it exists within the program that you've downloaded, okay? It's not something separate. It's not something that you have to go and buy differently. It's already in this app, okay? Okay, so now I want to, speaking about microlearning, why am I showing you all these things? Because we're getting to microlearning, hopefully, today, okay? So here's the thing. The biggest pain point I think that people have is actually recording video. People don't really like to see themselves on the screen. They would much rather do a simulation, which is why this, I think, has become so famous, because people don't look at me, you know? But sometimes people do have to look at you or at your actions, okay? And so people ask me all the, like, honestly, guys, it's probably the biggest question I get about video. It's like, what fancy equipment should I have? There is zero need for you to have fancy equipment. You can. I mean, it looks nice, but it doesn't look so much differently than what you could do with your phone. I, for example, have an S10, a Samsung S10 phone. It's over here somewhere, okay? It's enough, and it does a great job for me. It's just a regular Samsung phone, okay? Now, iPhones are also awesome. I have like the biggest dissonance with my family because they all have iPhones and I'm the only one who has an Android. Oh my gosh. But, you know, but these things are not cheap. Like this one, it was $800 when I got it like a year and a half ago. Why? Because they're so good and the camera is excellent. This specific phone, the S10, came out since the S8 actually. The cameras front and back have been on point, okay? So but even if you have a Samsung S7 or an iPhone S6 or above, your camera is so good already. You know, you can have a DSLR, which are the Fuji, the Canon type of cameras. No problem. They'll do an excellent job as well. But you probably don't, especially if you're beginning, by all that's holy, you really don't need to get like a whole studio. You just need your phone at the beginning. If you want to get fancy later, I'm coming over to use your equipment, okay? So some people ask me, what do you use? Well, the first thing I use is my phone, okay? Second thing I use, there are a couple of things. Everything I bought for my studio is usually under $50, okay? The second thing that I make sure that I have, and it's really important for me, is good lighting. Now, you might think that I have like this whole shebang of lighting. This is it. That's it. I don't want to blind you, but that's it, okay? Because the thing about lighting is you just have to know how to use it. You can even have a lamp, okay? So this one I think we're gonna see, I actually have all the links up for you so that you can see. Okay, because people ask me, can you send me the link? I'm like, no problem. You know, I just usually go back to my Amazon and just like send them that link. So I have them ready for you. So the only thing about lighting that I wanna say is that side lighting, you see what happens, you know? We'll see what happens. There's also scary lighting and celestial lighting, you know? So you just kind of want to be careful and angle the light. Make sure, it almost looks like I'm taking a selfie of myself, really. You just want indirect light is what it's called, okay? You don't want to do this because then your person, not only is like too much, but now I'm blind and I'm seeing stars, okay? So you just want to make sure that your indirect lighting is good enough. Okay, people want to see the person clearly. Like this type of lighting is okay right now because it's a Zoom call and the lights have gone out in the motion sensor and I don't want to leave you. But when you're really recording a video for the purposes of maybe the library or your professional project, you do want to have some lighting that looks good, okay? You also want to be careful with the shadow because it kind of has this distraction. So you want to kind of indirect lighting means that you can see your person as best as you possibly can and just your person. Okay, so now nobody's gonna complain about the shadow, but you know if you're seeing too much shadow. Okay, so that's all it is. And it's a small light that I think, and it takes 2 AA batteries. Okay, so that's thing one that I use. And then people ask me, what do you use for audio? Well, I did buy a super fancy microphone that did not work for me because it was almost too much to set up. So all I did was buy these dual microphones. And if I'm conducting an interview, which sometimes I do, I put one on me and one on the person, and it has an auxiliary thing. Like they sell attachments for this for iPhones as well. So, and it's perfect sound, really, really good. And it has what's called, terrible name, a dead cat on it, like a little foam thing. You know, dead cats are usually a lot bigger, but basically like a noise protector. And it works super well. You know, again, nothing super fancy. Even my tripod, which I absolutely love, this is the best tripod that I've ever had, was not very expensive. The only thing about my tripod, I'm actually gonna turn on this light so you can see it better. The only thing about my tripod that did not come with my tripod was this attachment here at the top. This one, okay? Why? Because this tripod is definitely meant for a DSLR, meaning like the Fuji, Canon type of camera. But I wanted a good tripod, so all I did was buy a phone extension. So my phone actually goes in there, so that I can still use my tripod on my phone. And, I use the light as necessary. Because if I'm recording a 15-minute video, I don't want to hold my phone the whole time. Okay, so this is a phone attachment. You see how it moves? It's perfectly fine. There's one more thing I want to show you that I do use, that this is if I'm making like a 2-minute video and I don't need to pull out the whole tripod, it's a rig where you just kind of hold it for stability and your phone is there. That way you don't have to be like this the whole time. You just hold it for stability. And the coolest thing about the rig is that, let me turn this off so I don't blind you. But the coolest thing about the rig is that if you buy the right one, you can actually buy it with the attachment for your light. Okay, so that way it's a little bit more comfortable on your arms for a couple of minutes. Your phone is there and the light's already there. You don't have to be holding it. Okay, so these are the things I use, guys, and I want to make sure that you know it's unnecessary to buy like such big equipment at the beginning. Like, get used to actual video and then maybe upgrade. But for example, everything like my tripod was $25 from Amazon. I'll be sure to put these links in the chat for you guys. Actually, please remind me because I might close everything and then forget the links. So there's that one. There's also the attachment for the phone, for the tripod. I also have here for you the lavalier microphones. Then the light. By the way, I'm not endorsed by Amazon or anything like that. I should be. I buy a lot from them. And then there's also this one, the rig. Okay. So then the last thing that I'll show you as far as equipment is that people ask me, hey, Cassie, well, how do you just like transfer? Do you just like, do you like put it on a cloud? Do you put it on the drive? How do you edit your video after? There's definitely editing apps for phones. But what I like to do, there's already usually an SD card inside of your phone, probably 8 gigs. I bought one that was 64 just because I like to take a lot of video. And so what I do is, instead of waiting for a cloud to download or like put it on the drive or put it on the Samsung cloud or Dropbox or anything like that, which also works, by the way, what I do is I like to have my video faster on my computer so that I can begin editing. So what I do is I have one of these things right here. Okay, mine looks slightly different. I tried to look for the exact one, but I couldn't find it, but it's this thing. And so what it does is you take your memory card, and we're talking about the black one on your phone. The yellow and red one is for like a Canon, Fuji type of camera. But the black one is for your phone. It goes in there, and then I just take out my SD card, put it in this device right here, and then plug it into my computer, and it downloads the video way faster. So instead of having to wait for a cloud, which again, it's not a problem, I'm just a little impatient. I just download it immediately with this device, and then I begin editing. Go ahead.
I guess maybe iPhone doesn't have that easy ability, because I don't think the SD card is removable here unless you like unscrew it all.
Oh, really? Oh, I did not realize that. I apologize.
Oh, no, it's okay.
Well, then your option for the iPhone then is putting it on the iPhone cloud and then bringing it down to your computer.
But still, probably there might be some sort of cord that could quickly take it off. I don't know.
I would check on that, just because it's a lot faster to just retrieve hard data with a device like this than waiting for the cloud, you know. But I don't know, maybe the Apple Cloud is like super fast. I don't know. I have Apple for a computer. I just don't have an iPhone. So that's what I wanted to say about that as far as like equipment. Okay. So before I move on to actual video editing, do you have a question for me?
I have a question. The microphone, have you found that works much, much better than trying to just use the one on the computer?
Oh, so we're talking about different things. I don't necessarily record on my computer. The microphone is for my phone when I do interviews.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm sorry. Okay.
No, it's fine. But there are microphones for your computer. You've probably seen them. They kind of actually look like podcasting microphones.
Mm-hmm.
But this one is specifically just if I'm on like word on the street, I need a quick answer from someone to put it on a video, I'll use this.
Okay.
Any background noise. Okay, it's a little bit better than just the phone audio, only because those little foamy things really do help the background noise.
Bonnie, I will add that it makes a big difference. And I used one that, and feel free to include this in the links too, Cassie, but it's called Blue Snowball. I think it's like $50. It's not that expensive as far as high-end microphones go. And all you do is just connect it via USB into your, laptop or whatever. And I also use like a pop filter, which is just this like foam little thing. And I I didn't actually connect to my desk, so I just held it every single time I talked. But it made a huge difference on my recording quality. I was so frustrated with trying to use my phone, but that solved all my problems.
Okay, and what was the name of that again, Elena?
Blue Snowball.
Blue Snowball. I can't remember the snowball part.
Blue Snowball. I love that. I'm gonna check that out too. Thank you. Okay, so that's what I wanted to say as far as video equipment before video editing programs, because again, it's probably, as far as video, the biggest questions I get are on equipment. And especially if you are starting something out, you may be on a budget, no need to go that big, to begin with. At least get used to using this equipment and then gauge what you need as far as how maybe sound works, what you need as far as like it being better. Okay, so then let's see, what do I have here? Good. So then what I wanted to show you is video itself. This is a simulation. It happens to export as an MP4, which is a video, okay? But this is not what in e-learning or instructional design per se we consider a video, a training instructional video. It's usually not this. This is called a simulation, okay? But a video is this, okay? When you actually have a human almost 100% involved in the process, okay? This is tricky because this is also an MP4, but this is actually like a true video that I filmed with my Samsung S10 to put on my portfolio. The reason why it becomes a training video, you guys, is because you should usually have a training explanation on it, meaning that the steps are involved, either by caption at the bottom or someone's actually saying them, okay? So as you're performing the action, you also wanna help not only your visual learners, but you wanna help your readers as well, okay? So everything in instructional design, in my opinion, should have at least a couple of learning elements so that you're not just, oh, well, it's a video. And as far as microlearning, what I wanna say is that you definitely wanna gauge who's watching. We talked about this, timing of videos last time. Who's watching it and what is it? Because microlearning is winning right now because it's small, and it's contained and to the point, okay? So for something like this, that's, I think, a couple of minutes, people have a beginning and an end. They understand that at the end of this video, they'll know, at least have a good idea of how to fry an egg. And I chose something simple because you do this day in and day out. This is a perfect example of you do this every day, you've done it, and you know how to do it. But when you have to teach it to someone else, it may be not as easy as you thought, because then you have to come up with every step. It's the perfect example of having a beginner's mind when you're the expert, okay? So we're gonna watch it, and I just want you to take a look at the fact that there's captions on it. And I happen to be bilingual, so I always try to do things like these in English and Spanish because you never know your audience, okay? So here we go. One thing I want to point out, you'll hear music in this video. If we have time at any point, you can ask me about music and the rights for it. Captivate gives you 8 to 10 tracks for free and royalty free. which is what I've used in this video. Okay, that way I didn't have to sit there and figure out whose was it, who do I pay for the music, can I use it? Okay, so that's why I use those songs. These are already royalty free from Captivate. Okay. Okay, so basically the story of this video is super simple. You would have probably had no idea it was recorded on my S10. Nobody would have had a comment on that, ever. Okay, and because it was so short, I actually used the rig to just like for stability on my phone. Okay, also you notice that the words are on there, and a lot of people ask me, how did you put the words on there? It's like, it's a program. Everything is a program, you know, and we're going to look at the program here in just a minute. And then you basically gauge. The biggest thing that you have to gauge, which I got feedback from my mom on this, was that I didn't give her enough time to read for her generation. So, which was great because it informs me of something. My nephew had no problem. He wanted it to go faster. I'm like, dude, it's only 52 seconds already. Like, I don't know what to tell you, you know, but my mom, and reading in Spanish, she had to, first of all, her eyes had to go down on the screen and then follow everything. So again, you get feedback, right? And it's very important that you ask. So you notice the difference between a simulation and a video is clear. It's someone or something moving. And when you make it a training video, you are explaining as it goes. Okay, for your readers and for your visual learners. Okay. Questions so far before I go into the program itself? No? Okay, so the program I use, and we mentioned this before, I didn't want you to download this because I don't think that there's a free trial for this one, but there are plenty of video editing programs. I just happen to have a love affair with Adobe, so you know I use everything Adobe, and this one is Premiere. Okay, so Premiere looks like this. And like Alina was mentioning, editing a video can be, you know, can be painful because you don't actually get screenshots like Captivate gives you. What you have to do is after you have, let's go back to this one, after you've gathered your equipment, you've recorded it, let's see, you've purchased this, you've purchased this, you've purchased this, you've gotten your sister to fry an egg for you, and you have the video, then you transfer it to your screen so that you can edit it, okay? So the program that I use, like I said, is Adobe Premiere, and the video itself, well, let's just grab a video, okay? You just drop it. After you've downloaded it, you drop it. And it shames you in front of your class. And then you drop it again. Let's see if there it is. Okay, so what happens here, guys, is that when you drop a video, it shows you, notice there are no frames, there's no Captivate, there is no option, it's one block. One block. So you actually have to make the choices here. You use the cutting tool, you cut where you need to. Then you also, there's a possibility right here where I'm pointing to add text, which is how you do the captioning. But it is your responsibility as a video editor to, as I'm talking, to put the captions on. Okay, so it's not, I believe Captivate is easier to create, to do a simulation in, because it gives you the chance to do it per frame. Your audio you can do per frame. Your captions you can do per frame. Well, a video is a whole block. Okay, now video editing is something that I taught myself because I really enjoy everything visual and kinesthetic, honestly. But I can't tell you that it was like a 2-second lesson. You know, it's something that you really do have to spend some time on and really look at where you want to edit, what you want to edit, what you want to say, and the timing of it. Okay, like for example, this video was a whole introduction I did in this very room for someone who asked me to talk about something I wrote. Okay, so at the beginning, because you notice the video is, let's say, 2 minutes long, she wanted it to be just short snippets. So the first thing I had to do was decide, where do I cut it? So I had to watch the whole video and then decide where to cut it. Once I had decided where to cut it, then I wanted to make sure that people knew what I was going to be talking about. So then, for example, the first product, my first cut ends up being 45 seconds. And notice this, all I did in this program, okay? And it's very possible. The reason why she wanted it smaller is because, again, she wanted chunks. She wanted people to learn about the book I wrote, but small. She wanted it small and she wanted it in 2 pieces. So basically she wanted micro-learning, although this was not for instructional design, okay? But notice this.
Hello there, my name is Cassie Widobro, and I am the author of Is Anyone Else Feeling the Same Way? I am super excited.
Okay, so this is what I wanted to show you. Notice, oh, I can't see you guys. I don't like it when I don't see you, but okay. Notice that the title disappeared after I was done talking about it, okay? Because believe it or not, it can be a real, especially in instructional education, it can be a really big distraction if you keep something on there that no longer has to do with the topic. I moved on from saying my name and the title of the book. Done. So just be really careful because your readers may just keep expecting that to change, okay? So take that down after you're done talking about it, okay? Make sure you move on from it, okay? And again, that little banner is something that you can do in a video editing program such as this one, okay? I know this class is not about video editing per se, but I wanted to still make sure that you got the gist of this. The next thing I'm going to do is show you another piece of something else when you mix Captivate with a video program. But first, I know I'm throwing so much at you. Please, do you have questions? Because I know we're inside of your question arena time.
Why wouldn't you use Captivate to edit something like this?
You can't really import a video like this on Captivate. You can upload a video for show, and Captivate will allow you to say, instead of, let's say that for a YouTube video that's 3 minutes, you just want to show 30 seconds of it, Captivate will allow you to say, show from minute 1 to minute 1:30. It will allow you to do that, but it won't allow you to edit the video inside of it.
But aren't you, I guess, how is this different from like recording your screen? Aren't you making a video there too?
How's it different from importing your screen?
Well, recording your screen, because you were showing us how to use Captivate to record your screen and make a video and then edit it from there.
That's such a good question because I love that. So you said, how is it different from using this guy, for example, the video demo?
Yeah, either that or the software simulation. I mean,
Or the software simulation? Okay, yeah. I guess, let's say, so my immediate answer wants to be the video demo is for cutting sections of a video or for making a video where you want to be inside of the explanation. And the software simulation is more for you showing your screen. Where, for me at least, making a video is simply about it's making a movie basically, whether it's long or short. So Captivate is not made for making movies. It's made for making explanations per se of that movie or showing parts of that movie. But Premiere Pro was made for making a movie and then editing it. So I guess maybe it's not the best explanation ever, but I do see them as separate entities that do two separate things.
Yeah, so I guess you would, like once you're done, editing this video in Premiere Pro, then you might import it into Captivate to be a part of your e-learning module if you wanted to, right?
I love this question. Yes. And you can either import a video into Captivate, or what people have been known to usually do is actually import Captivate into this program, because this is actually the beefier program of the two for video. Okay, so I'm actually going to show you an example of that now. I love this segue. Thank you so much for making it so easy for me. Okay. Okay, I love it though. Okay, because I'm gonna ask you to think about a couple of questions, only because I know that we have 17 minutes left and I'm still talking, guys. I want to make sure that this is useful for you as well. So I'm gonna look at my notes for like 10 seconds, and if you think of any other questions you have. Okay, did you think of any questions?
I did, Cassie. So I get that microlearning is short, but are there other things that define it? Like how short is it? And is it supposed to only be one step? What exactly is it?
Oh my gosh, that is such a great question. So microlearning right now, it's, first of all, it's newer. So I think that we are still defining a lot of it, but in essence, it adapts all the learning elements into something much smaller. So you still have the responsibility of making it so that people have different learning elements in it while being short. So for example, just because it's 5 minutes, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to talk to my visual learners or my readers or my auditory learners and just show them a video or just do a 3-minute read. You know, I still have to try and incorporate everything. If your purpose is just to create, let's say, a 3-minute blog, and that's all it is, perfect. That means that you are putting out something for information, and likely you're only speaking to readers. But the purpose of it is not per se instructional design. It's just you're putting out something to read, okay? Very different than if you wanted to make something that people could read and learn from in 5 minutes, and then actually try and incorporate a short video in it so that people get different learning elements in it, okay? So microlearning is perfect for definitely the younger population, I would say, because, you know, we've defined, somebody asked me, I pulled up a really good article, I'll have to bring it to you or show it next time, as to the generations and the timing. Somebody asked me about that last time, and I did find something on it, and I found it interesting, because it is true that the younger populations do actually like things speedy, which is probably why microlearning is becoming a bigger thing. It doesn't mean it's for everybody, but it is becoming something. But the responsible thing in microlearning, or the bigger, I think that the biggest aspect of microlearning is the responsibility of still making it holistic, okay? Because you can't just cut it and say, well, that's all you get. You still, let's say that you would have made a 30-minute module, and now you want to make it into microlearning. You still have the responsibility to provide all of that. It doesn't mean that you put it all in 5 minutes. It means that you make 6 5-minute modules instead.
So it's just chunked down.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay. I'm gonna read more on that though, because there's sometimes you guys have such good questions. I have the desire to like look things up right away, and I know I can't because it's not appropriate. Okay. So, okay, really good question. Now I'm going to show you something that I asked my family if I could show you this, and they were like, go ahead. Actually, they were like super good about it, super good. I asked them and they were like, go ahead, yeah, no problem. And then they were asking me, how many people are in your class? They're so interesting. I love my family, I really do. So I made this video for my family. My family has a business called Unbridled Hope and Healing. And what it is, it's an equine therapy business where my brother-in-law is actually the main therapist, one of the main therapists, and they work together with horses and humans, okay? And this is in Salt Lake City. So I wanted to make him like a 2-minute commercial because I just really think that they do a really good job and I love them. So I wanted to do this for them. But the reason why I'm going to show you this video is because I want you to see an example of Premiere Pro and Captivate in the same video, and nobody ever knowing that you use two things differently, okay? So it is 2 minutes. I plan on showing you the whole thing, but I'm just probably not going to show you the whole thing so that we can get to the part that I want to show you, because I record everything again on my phone, okay? Nobody would ever know the difference, I'm telling you now. You'll see that my brother-in-law doesn't actually have a microphone on him, but you can hear him. But toward the end, and this is the reason why I'm going to show you the beginning and maybe just the last minute, toward the end, you'll actually see that I use Captivate, and I want to see if you can recognize where I used it, okay? Now that we've touched on it, so I want to see if you recognize that, okay? All right.
I'm Robert Lindquist, LCSW. Unbridled Hope and Healing Center is a nonprofit 501c3. Unbridled has 3 components to it. We have a horse rescue, where we have rescued a lot of traumatized horses. A lot of their life experience is shared with the kids as they come out and work, so they understand what the horses are going through and kind of translate that to themselves and how they can heal. We have a physical therapist named Dr. Susan Redmond. And then we have me and Matt Butler, is an LCSW as well. We use the horses for experiential therapy. You're using your visual, your kinesthetic, and your auditory learning. Working with horses is a safe environment. Horses aren't going to talk back to you and make fun of you for what you do. They will let you know when you do wrong. One of the biggest things we do with horses is teach assertive communication. In order to accomplish anything with a horse, you have to be assertive. And when you're assertive with a horse, they reward you. They'll give you feedback throughout therapy, working with the horses. Eventually, you can have time to ride the horses as kind of part of a learning, because that does also take place. So a lot of people come out and they start learning about horses. They develop some good horseman skills, but that is not the intention of therapy. The intention of therapy is for you to learn about yourself. So a lot of times we'll ask you questions in therapy about what worked for you in session and what didn't work for you in session. And then an overall broad question of what'd you learn that can help you in your life with taking this from the session. You can contact us at unbridledhopeandhealing.org. There's a contact page and you can send us a message. Also 801-808-3852. Thank you, and I hope to see you guys there sometime.
There you are. Okay. Can you guys hear me okay? Yeah? Okay. So now you notice a few elements of the video. So tell me a few things about this video.
It was primarily video then and only some screen captures,
Yes,
right?
definitely. Definitely some screen capture. I like that. So you notice the screen capture, so now that you say that, then where did you see Adobe Captivate?
At the very end, where you were highlighting the contact button, or I can't remember what it was, something on the screen.
Exactly, right? So that Adobe, so it's interesting because you can record this. I did it on my phone, like I said, all of this. And then when he begins to tell people, contact us, this right here is Captivate, what we just used. Because I was
Contact us at unbridledhopeandhealing.org. There's contact
Like literally what we just did, right? The highlight button on Captivate. And then you just
page, and you can send us a message. Also 801.
So notice how I started typing, I'd like to, hi, I'd like to.
Send us a message. Also,
All of that is Adobe Captivate. Okay, so the reason why I show you this is because, sure, you definitely mix the elements of video. It's him, and you definitely don't want just all human, because that can be a little boring. But you want to cut in with whatever it is, and like horses. Talk about like the experiential therapy. Bring in that kinesthetic element so that people actually see that they can touch the horse. But if you can use Captivate inside of a video, it's actually a really good visual element for someone to recognize that you're not just saying, oh yeah, and on the video, verbally contact us at unbridledhopeandhealing.org. You can show them, and they can actually feel, even though it's visual, they can feel that there's actually typing going on. There's a visual kinesthetic element that Captivate can bring into a video that is super important. You see, and how we did the highlight box, boom, there it was, you know? So then what happens is that this right here, these right here are the video, it's the video. But then just like we created the Captivate video, we export it when it's done. We export it as an MP4 and then put it in here, just like I dragged and dropped the videos in here. So then you cut them in together. And it creates just, when you export it, it creates one thing, just like you saw. Okay? So I know I'm giving you a lot, okay? A lot, actually. But what I'm trying to show you is the gist of how all of these programs work together. And once you actually get a handle of it, you realize, oh, wow, this actually isn't that hard. You just have to learn how to piece it together so that they can work cohesively into one thing that people are working with visually, kinesthetically. If I wanted to join the egg video in this, I could, you know, and then people would have something to read. There's so much you can do with the technology of today that incorporates audio, reader, visual, kinesthetic. And all of it is inside of these programs that people have created for us. And the ones that I like to use are Captivate and Premiere. Okay. All right. Please tell me you have questions. I feel like I've shocked you with so much information overload. Yeah, exactly, Glenn. Oh my gosh. I was beginning to feel, Amira, I feel like we should have scheduled 10 classes for, I feel like, I actually do feel like I'm just giving so much information, and I apologize if it was a little too much. I wanted to cram in as much as I possibly could for you.
I think you're doing great. You're doing great, for sure. Agree? Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
All right, do you guys have questions before we sign off? No questions?
So
Okay.
Cassie, oh,
Go ahead.
could you go back to that Captivate menu?
Yes, definitely. Yes, here we go.
Okay, so today you showed us the software simulation and just clicked briefly on the video demo. I think you just showed it to us via that YouTube video, right?
Definitely.
So software simulation is used to create a video, an MP4 file of you recording something on your screen, and you can use additional visual elements like that highlight box, and I'm guessing there's other elements too, probably.
So many, and I want to point out, it doesn't just export. One of the ways, the easier ways to export it is as a .mp4, but you can also export it as an HTML and put it inside of your website.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you make, oh, never mind. I was gonna say, can you make GIFs on it?
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
guess you could always convert it to a GIF from a video. But okay, and then so that's what the software simulation's for, is to like create a capture of your screen showing somebody how to do something. And then
That's the way we used it today.
okay. And so then you also showed us the Premiere Pro program, which is a video editing program. And that's like if you take a large video, typically of you actually filming something other than the screen, like yourself talking or like a commercial you showed us, then you can edit. You can either cut that into smaller pieces and kind of combine it with the Captivate as you showed, or you can just edit it and put little caption or little text on there. Okay, that helps. I'm just trying to figure out like the suite, you know, like what is it? What is everything used for?
The Premiere's, the Adobe Suite is this big.
Mm-hmm.
These are all programs, and Captivate is not even part of the suite. You know, so it's like there's Photoshop, there's Illustrator, there's InDesign, there's Premiere Pro, there's Audition. There are so many. That's why I only wanted to touch on the two that I use mainly for this, because otherwise it would be so much.
Right. And so the other part of Captivate, which we'll talk about, I guess, next time, is that responsive project. Is that what you?
Exactly.
That's how you build the e-learning modules.
This is definitely the one that people use right now, mainly for e-learning on screen, tablet, and phone. Okay. Cool. Definitely. This is the one. Yes. So, and Blank Project too, honestly, all of them, all of Captivate is meant for e-learning holistically. But when we're talking about modules that people are making today, definitely the responsive project is, I would say, the one that's being used quite a bit today.
And so then would you use something like software simulation or Premiere Pro to edit a video and stuff like that, and then import pieces of that into like responsive project to create a whole module? Is that what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Quick question on, I noticed that it says from PowerPoint. Do they have a function where it'll import from Keynote, from Mac, from like a MacBook using Keynote rather than?
I definitely know exactly what you're talking about. Now I honestly don't know, Glenn. I'm going to look that up. And the reason being is because first of all, I don't know, but I will find out for you. But the reason why I'm saying why right now, I honestly don't know. And I don't know if that's going to be the case. It's because it's literally is from PowerPoint and it's a registered trademark. So I'm guessing it's from PowerPoint itself. So, but I'm going to read, I mean, you never know, because there's PowerPoint, there's Keynote, there's Presenter. I mean, there's like a few that do this very same function. So I'll find out.
Okay.
I was just going to add one more thing to what you were saying before, Cassie, is like recording video. If you were going to make an e-learning module with you talking, I've also seen plenty of people who are actually making pretty good money off of their online courses who literally just record themselves like this on Zoom. They don't have anybody else in the meeting, but they just record a Zoom meeting with themselves. So
hey, yeah,
and share their screen for like PowerPoints.
Hey, I you can definitely create a class on Zoom recorded and, monetize on that. I have more power, it's like, if that's something that you can do, then I love that, because it's a visual way for e-learning. Even though maybe it's unofficially e-learning, you're still creating a video and sharing content, So, why not? Okay, I'm gonna start, Mira, while you do your wrap up, I'm gonna start pasting these links I found on Amazon for my gadgets, in case you guys are interested in looking at them. Or something similar, I just figured, since people ask me so much about the things that I use, I figured I'd have them ready for you.
Hey, I apologize for the background noise. If there's anyway, so I'm going to go ahead and wrap up and stop the recording. So thank you for coming today, and we'll see you next week at the next, for class number 3. So